Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Special Education Advisory Committee of the Halton District School Board for Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. Given the need to practice social distancing due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are holding this meeting remotely through a video conference. This meeting is being recorded. In accordance with the Ontario Regulation 463-97, the new guidelines effective February 1st, 2021, any meeting of the Board of Trustees and/or committee meetings which are open to the public must be live streamed and be able to take questions from the public. The purpose is to foster two-way participation during these meetings. To comply with this, SEAC will be using a Google form which is attached to each agenda distributed in advance of the meeting and posted on the board website, the SEAC website. Questions posed during live streaming of the meeting may be answered during that meeting or following the meeting at the discretion of the chair. For efficiency, multiple questions received that are similar in nature may be grouped together at the discretion of the chair and/or vice chair. Questions will not be attributed. Notations will be made that multiple people asked the same question. Any questions that contain language that is harmful or discriminatory will not be considered. I will now start a roll call to record who is in attendance. Tracy.
Hi, everyone. I'm here. Nice to see you.
Heather.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see everyone.
Joanna.
Good evening, everyone.
Margot.
Hi, everyone.
Helen. I can see you there.
Is my name being called? I'm here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hi, everyone.
Jen.
Jen is not able to make it tonight.
Okay. Lisa Cameron. Candace Keem.
Hi there. I'm here.
Melissa Dockery. Sarah.
Hi, I'm here. Good evening.
Sophia. Rebecca. I know that Alison isn't here. Diane.
Hi, everyone. I'm here.
Judy. James. Diane.
Hi, everyone. I'm here.
Me, I'm here. Colette and Lorna.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that I've missed?
Good evening, everyone. And we also have with us this evening Sean Marks, the Principal of Special Education, and Stacy Farrell Berengerter, the Vice Principal of Special Education.
Okay, we'll now go on to honoring the land. Halton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Attawandaron, the Haudenosaunee and the Métis, these lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in Indigenous history. As we gather today on these treaty lands, we have the responsibility to honor and respect the four directions: land, waters, plants, animals, ancestors that walked before us, and all the wonderful elements of creation that exist. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation for sharing their traditional territory with us. Thank you. First, we need to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any modifications that need to be made to the agenda? And if there are, please indicate that you wish to speak in the chat box. Okay. I would like to ask if there are any opposition to the agenda as it stands. And next is the approval of the agenda. Could I ask Margot? And I need a seconder. Heather? Oh, Yalen. Okay, good. So that being given, the agenda is approved unanimously. And next is the approval of our April 6th meeting minutes. Errors and omissions, and if so, in the chat box, please mention them. Okay. Then I need to ask Tracy if you'd mind moving a motion to approve the minutes.
I would be happy to.
Thank you. And I need a seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you,
Yes,
Diane.
Diane speaking.
Thank you. Given that there are no opposition to the minutes are approved unanimously. We are now going to begin with the action items. Tonight we have a presentation on key learning from the pandemic. And after the presentations, we are going to go into breakout rooms to just provide some feedback.
So thank you, Lucille. And I'm actually going to shake up the plan a little bit from what Lucille shared there. But let me start by saying that it's been an incredible year, incredibly challenging, exhausting. For many, it's been traumatizing, but it's also been incredibly heartwarming, inspiring, and motivating to support our students. And in these last number of weeks, I have to say that in meeting with the Special Education Services team to discuss this past year and the learning about the work that has been undertaken to continue to meet the needs of our students in a variety of modes across our system, I have to say that I'm immensely proud of the work that I'm going to share with you and the lessons from this past year. And while there are many negative impacts of the pandemic that I'm sure I don't need to list for you, it has been an accelerant for innovation and change. And I want to emphasize that this presentation, it's not intended to capture the lessons of the entire system, but solely those of the special education team. And that sharing a positive or sharing the positive in these lessons is not intended to negate or ignore or dismiss everything that's happened. We certainly haven't met the needs of all learners. It hasn't been perfect, and it's been very stressful. It's been stressful for our staff, particularly those who support our most complex learners attending in person during closures. And it's been stressful and difficult for families. And most importantly, there's a great loss for students, a loss of social connections, a loss of learning and experiences, and so on. So while we're going to talk about many positive things, I don't want to suggest that there's not the negative too. So a little bit about our format. We are going to go into 3 breakout rooms, and you'll have a facilitator in each session. So Stacy will facilitate one group, Sean a second group, and I will take a third group. And in your group, you will remain with the facilitator for 10 minutes and cover 2 themes. We have 6 themes in total. So each facilitator will cover 2 themes. We hope that in that 10 minutes that we have the opportunity to share and also to listen to your feedback. And there are some questions in the agenda that are there for some prompts, but we're not limited to those. Those are just to kind of get your thinking going, but we're really open to hearing all that you have to say. And then after 10 minutes, you're going to stay still, but your facilitator is going to change, and we're going to hope that the tech cooperates with us. And so the second facilitator will talk about the next 2 topics, and then the third facilitator will do the final 2 topics. We're going to stay in that third breakout room, and that third facilitator will also facilitate a brief discussion on your budget input. And again, there's some questions in the agenda as prompts to get you thinking about some feedback. And so with that, I'm going to, unless there's any questions or comments before we move into our breakout rooms, I'm going to have Lorna hit go and send us into breakout.
You want me to do that now, Colette?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know who HSCC is. Could someone confirm?
That's me. That's Candace Keem from.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Lorna.
I'll need to put you in a room. Just give me a second.
Thanks.
I think we're on item 2.3, where we are going to have a brief discussion on the spec ed plan that Lorna sent us. If I've jumped too far ahead, or could somebody let me know? But as far as I know, we are now at item 2.3, where we will be discussing and then voting on the special education plan. Colette?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, we were chatting so much we were late coming back from our room. So the special education plan, sorry, let me just pull this up. Sorry. So you will see there before you the 2021-22 draft special education plan. By way of process, the purpose this evening is for you to indicate your support or non-support for the plan for trustees. And the special education plan will go to the Board of Trustees in June for final passing. So in large part, the changes and updates are minimal, such as changes in terminology or grammatical corrections, but there are a few substantial changes to highlight. All of the changes are in the Appendix M in the summary, but I will touch on a few. In Standard 3, there's a change from the Student Services Department to two departments, the Special Education Services and the Student Wellbeing Department. And you'll see that the responsibilities are split between two departments, two superintendents, as well as the split of professional services. And so for special education, the focus is really on those special education services with the IPLs, the principal and vice principal of special education, the psychology staff, behavior analysts, speech and language pathologists, and our specialized behavior support workers. And the student well-being department is focused on the mental health and well-being aspects of the system with the support of the mental health lead, the child and youth counselors, and the social workers. In Standard 12, you'll see a description of the structured learning class pilot. We talked about this, I think, a month or two ago. This is a 2-year pilot for students with autism in grades 4 and 5. And this program will be offered in 3 schools, Alexander's in Burlington, Heritage Glen in Oakville, and P.L. Robertson in Milton. And each class will have 6 students and will have the instructional support of a classroom teacher, an itinerant speech and language pathologist, and a communicative disorders assistant. And we're very excited to introduce this new role in our system as part of the pilot of this class. A CDA, or a communicative disorders assistant, has a specialized diploma in communicative disorders and works under the supervision of the speech and language pathologist to provide direct intervention on speech and language. So we will have 4 CDAs, 1 assigned to each program, and then a 4th itinerant that will target some significant needs that might pop up in those 3 classes. And when not needed there, will be used elsewhere in the system. And then this is not a cost to the board, as these classes would have otherwise been supported by an educational assistant. So they are working with our educational assistant union, so under the same umbrella, but with a bit more of a unique or more specialized skill set on communication. So this is going to be a great addition to those classes. In Standard 12, you'll see some other staff complements, specifically the learning disability reading support teachers. So I know when this special education plan was brought this time last year, that the budget still wasn't, still was very unknown. And so it was tentative that these 5 teachers were to be added. And I'm happy to say that they were included in the budget last year. And so we have benefited from these 5 teachers, offering some expertise in targeting reading for students with learning disabilities. This year, it's been a particular emphasis on our students in self-contained LD classes, and in a smaller part in other students in K-8 or kindergarten to grade 8. And next year, we're expanding the implementation, not expanding the number of teachers that are delivering this service, but the number of students that they will support. This year has been certainly a building year in terms of building the skill set of the team, developing the resources, and then rolling it out. So next year it will be expanding and serving more students beyond the self-contained classes. This time last year, also tentative in the budget was the specialized behavior support workers, and I'm happy to say that that also was included in the passing of the budget last year and will be continued this year. We have 13 of these specialized staff across our system. They are working in our behavior resource classes, as well as 2 in our HOPES program. And so those are my key highlights, but I'm happy to take any questions or comments. I'm going to take that as we got it so right, we don't have a single question. So, Lucille, do you want to proceed if we don't have any questions or comments? Do you want to proceed with the vote?
Yes, I'd like to proceed with the vote. Do I have to, well, do I just ask if there are any votes against the Spec Ed plan? Or do we have to go into a different kind of voting format?
Well, I believe past practice has been that you go by organization for a vote in support or non-support.
Okay. Okay, I'll start with the Association for Bright Children. Yay or nay? Autism Ontario.
Yes, I approve.
Community.
You don't approve it, you support it.
You support it. Community Living.
Yes, I support it.
Easter Seals.
Yes, supported.
Halton Down Syndrome. Learning Disabilities of Halton and Hamilton.
At this time, we cannot support the plan.
Voice. Association for Bright Children.
We will support the plan.
Members at large, I support the plan. James. Diane.
I support the plan.
Okay. It appears that the vote is generally to support the plan, with some not supporting and some, but I think the majority support the plan, so we can go ahead. Thank you. Tracy?
Hi, thanks very much. Through you, Madam Chair, I have a question, just with respect to, and it's for my own learning and consideration, I guess, in terms of when this plan comes to the Board of Trustees table. I'm just curious and interested to know whether the member who wasn't in a position to support the plan will be submitting written comments or can elaborate on the reasons why. Again, it's just so I can learn and understand. I don't think anything was submitted beforehand. I may have missed it, but yeah, it just comes from a place of curiosity, really.
Diane?
Okay. Lucille, would you like me to expand?
Please.
Okay. As in the past, Learning Disabilities Association of Halton Hamilton has not been able to support the plan because there is not a continuity of support for our students or our kids with learning disabilities. So we appreciate the fact that there are self-contained classes from grade 4 on. We appreciate the support of the 2 new programs in the last year for kindergarten and grade 1, but that still leaves a gap at grade 2 and grade 3. And these are very crucial years for our kids. So it's just the continuity of support is not there. And they need it. And we're following LDAO policy that supports the continuity of service.
Thank you, Diane. Heather?
Thank you, through you, Chair, to Diane. If and I'm sort of with Tracy on this, just for my own personal learning and for the growth of our students as well. Do you have any recommendations, or does your association have any recommendations to help us with the continuity?
Well, yes, definitely. Support in the areas, in the grades that's needed. I mean, there's no added support in grade 2 and grade 3. It's the same as, well, it's better than it used to be with the 2 new programs at kindergarten. But it's still, our kids have to fail before somebody says, oh, something's not right. And that doesn't happen until they're in grade 3, grade 4. The major reading component that is a deficit for our kids is a phonological awareness deficit. And that can be flagged and addressed in kindergarten, which I'm sure the 2 new programs are doing, but it's not, I mean, that's only a small percentage of the kids that are being addressed. And we still don't know, at least I don't know, I'm not getting any data back from those 2 new programs as to how they're impacting the kids' learning once they move to grade 2, grade 3.
Thank you, Diane. Yellen has her hand up.
I really appreciate, Diane's comment, and I appreciate both Heather and Tracy that, interest into the association feedback and, from our representing families. So build on what Diane said, because, I'm so new on CEAC, and this is my second meeting and with the group. And so I think, I have looked through and spent 2 hours and reading through the special education plan before the meeting. And so trying to learn myself and in the process. And so So from the education plan that I read through, I think, all the structure and pieces are there. I think it's very good. But, in practice, and so I think there is a difference, and something that hasn't been really captured in the education plan is what Diane said and earlier regarding what is happening in practice and with our students and with the service and support and in schools. And I think there is some disconnect with the services that the board is offering and versus the family and and children are actually receiving. So prior to my president, Deirdre was on SEAC, and before me, I think she passed some messages to me and regarding ABC's position in terms of the primary gifted process, identification process. But when I was reading through the education plan, and then I could see that in the assessment, identification, placement, and the ITRC process, it seemed that there is a mechanism already there. But I think maybe there's something that how the board is implementing, and that is where the issue is. So I don't know if this is something that Colette can bring in more information and clarify, or this has to be something that goes further and maybe with Tracy and Heather, that's to discuss.
So if I could just respond, Yelena, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're looking for more information on what that problem-solving pathway is when a student is struggling in a classroom environment and moving through the process of identifying that there's a challenge to an assessment to a placement. Is that correct? And so you'd like
So I think if we're voting on the education plan today, so I think, in principle, I support that. I think our association would support that. But, there are challenges and issues that, like Diane mentioned, and I think, our association certainly, gets a lot of, feedback from the families. And so maybe that is something else that, we could, maybe have a channel to discuss or solve the problems.
Well, certainly that's something that we can work on as a group for SEAC. We can bring some staff to share the process and the details and gather some feedback from associations on how effective that problem-solving process is. What are some of the barriers that are present for families? How can we make sure that the problem-solving pathway is well communicated and well understood by our families, and how can we improve that pathway? So we can certainly do
that. Well, thank you everybody for this spirited discussion. And we are now going to move on to the superintendent's report. So Colette, over to you.
All right. Well, first I'd like to say that May is Speech and Hearing Month, and this month is to raise awareness about communication health and to those who have difficulty communicating. And if you want to learn more about this Awareness Month, you can visit the Speech, Language and Audiology Canada. And there's some excellent resources and connections there about not only this Awareness Month, but also some of those difficulties to be aware of. It is also Education Week this week, and it's a week to celebrate and recognize our students and families, staff, and the strength of our system. The board has virtual events or key messages planned throughout the week, including a student excellence, where we honor a student from each elementary school and secondary school, and that is this Thursday evening. As I mentioned in the mental health breakout group, we have, or the Student Wellbeing Department has been hosting parent sessions. Those parent sessions are continuing this week, and there's a series of topics related to mental health, parenting, and well-being. And if you want more information on these sessions that are upcoming throughout the month of May, you can find them on the Mental Health and Wellbeing page on the website. And of course, we're now quite a few weeks into this school closure, and many of our students are learning virtually, but we do have learning in person for students with significant special education needs. And the vast majority, as I say, are learning synchronously at home, and staff have transitioned very quickly into this model this time around. Our students with special education needs are receiving supports and accommodations appropriate to their learning needs as much as possible within this model. I know we've just had a long conversation around how that's come with its rewards, but also its challenges. Our elementary students in self-contained life skills and communications classes, as well as secondary students in the community pathway program, have been provided the opportunity to continue learning in person due to their special education needs and challenges accessing the learning in a remote model. But in addition, we have students with significant special education needs in the regular classroom who meet the criteria, who are unable to access the learning remotely, and have also been provided an opportunity to learn in person. So we have teachers, educational assistants, administrators, and office staff working at many of our schools to ensure that the staff and students are well supported during this period of in-person learning in a closure. And I just want to say that really appreciate and honor the work of staff and their dedication through this most challenging time. We're now in the final stretch of Quadrimester 4 now underway for our secondary students, and plans for year-end traditions and celebrations are in development, and these will be compliant with the public health measures, of course, and developed by the schools. And on that topic, we have a special education or special athletes track meet. We would typically be in person for a very large, fun event. Plans are underway this year for a virtual event. The event is for kindergarten to 8 students, grade 8 students who have physical, intellectual, and communication special education needs, as well as students in our life skills and CPP classes. So, of course, due to the pandemic, this event will look quite different than typical years. We'll have a virtual component each day where everyone will come into a Google Meet together. And then there will be synchronous or asynchronous activities that students can do in school or at home. And this will run the week of June 14th to 18th. I've already spoken about the communicative disorders assistant, so I won't touch on that again. So that takes me to the end of the report, but happy to take any questions.
Diane?
Sorry, no, I just touched my screen. I don't have anything to say. I'll turn my mic off.
Any questions or for Colette? If not, I will move on to association reports. Are there any association reports? Okay.
All right, just 1 second. Allison usually does the LDAHH association report, and she always has a long list of things to report. We are extremely busy at this time. All kinds of wonderful things are going on. So I will ask Allison to submit that report so it can be attached to the agenda.
That sounds perfect. Thank you. Lorna, so will you look out for that? Okay, we're now going to move on to the trustees report.
Thank you. Just 1 second. I'll pull it up. Okay, so Tracy and I are going to share this report. I'll begin. Trustees continue to advocate for new schools in South Milton and North Oakville. The new secondary school in South Milton is going to be named Elsie McGill, as voted upon by the trustees a couple weeks back. We are still working on boundary reviews for the new Milton number 11 and Milton number 12. And that is going along very well. There will be a public consultation next week, I think. The hiring processes for 3 new superintendents and the director are taking place over the next couple of weeks, and it's going well as it can be when we're doing it all virtually. So it's going it's different, but it's okay. Trustee PD called Mending the Chasm has been ongoing for the last few weeks as well. And over the next month, the budget will be a big focus. And the grants for student needs were released today. So, of course, we're going to have to be digesting what that contains and what it looks like. And I'm going to pass it over to Tracy.
Okay, thanks, Heather. Just picking up on what Heather was saying about the grants for student needs coming out today. It looks like there will be some COVID-related funding for the next school year, a continuation of support for remote learning, some enhanced mental health supports, and some supports for student re-engagement. Now, the numbers didn't appear to be huge, given that they have to spread across the province, but it was still promising that there is acknowledgement that those are significant areas of need and some resources would be committed. Of course, the last we heard, next year was going to be funded on a normal year basis, quote unquote, and it likely won't be super normal. So it was good to read some of those things. You may have noticed that trustees have put out a call to the community to attend, if you're interested, a coffee conversation next Thursday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. We've updated the Halton Education Action website, which is www.haltoneducationaction.ca. And the concern that's been raised provincially by trustees, directors of education, people for education, was related to a leaked proposal for, quote, enhanced online and virtual learning. And well, on the face of it, that sounds like a great idea to support student choice. There was this notion that it was to be centralized through TBO/TFO, and there were many implications to school boards and local learning opportunities. So while this next budget seems to have pushed that decision, I guess, into the future, trustees were concerned that, this sitting of the legislature is only for 15 more days and that a decision would be made in quick order, and then we'd sort of be left to sort things out. So anyway, if you have interest in that topic, we're still going to go ahead with the meeting. Between now and next week, we'll have some time to digest what the announcements today mean in that regard. So please join if you're interested and able. And then lastly, as we always say, if you've seen something that's inspired you, please consider nominating somebody who's been outstanding for an Inspire Award. You can find the information on the board website under Inspire Awards, and it's always, I think, a great pick-me-up to recognize people who are doing great stuff for students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lucille, can I just add to that, Tracy? So I've looked into that Inspire Award. It's not very user-friendly on the website, I will say. You can't fill out the document on the website. You have to print it off. Then you have to sort of upload it and send it in. Like, is there any way there can be a PDF where you can just sort of submit an application, or like, it's not a very user-friendly process, I will say. I'm not sure if who would look into that or who could do that, but I think a lot more people would fill it out if it didn't require downloading the form, completing the form, and then uploading the form again.
Madam Chair, if I may. So Trustee Shuttleworth and I are coordinating this year. And one of the things that we're doing is taking a look for user friendliness. However, I do think that there may be another link on there for a fillable PDF form. And as we're talking, I may just see if I can find it and pop it into the chat box. I know that's something that we came across, the downloadable PDF as well. But then in our search, we found the other option. So just for anybody who's interested, let me pop that link into the chat box. And then to your point about user friendliness, yes, we will definitely, we've taken a note on that. And
you know what? Well, is that new? Because that looks new to me. Was that just revised? Because that wasn't how it looked even 6 months ago. Where, yeah, no, that's, has somebody updated that, or?
You know what, Melissa? I think I went down the same rabbit hole you did, because I had the same comment you did when Tracy and I were discussing it, and she showed me too. So I think I don't know, but maybe we just need to take a look at the links that are attached.
Okay, yeah, because that one looks a lot more user-friendly, to be honest. It's a form, it's instead of a, yeah, that one looks great. So I don't know if there's another link somewhere else that's linking you to the old page or something. That might be the problem, but okay, that's great. Thank you.
We'll try to fill in that rabbit hole for people, because, you know, 2 people have observed that in short order. You're not wrong, definitely.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thank you. Any other association reports? Okay, well, we will move on to committee reports. Any feedback from the Parent Involvement Committee? The next one is the Accessibility Coordinating Committee, and I sit on that committee. And we did meet in March, and I raised 2 questions that were brought to my attention by Sophia and somebody else. And the one was about the summer camp programs for students with exceptionalities, and speaking about the information that we need to get it in good time. And I was assured that that would be looked at. And so next time we meet, hopefully I'll have some more information to bring back to the committee. And then the next one was about the accessibility of testing components and identification for grade 4 testing. And I asked about that. And that too, I will have more feedback to bring before the next meeting. I know that Margot's also a member of that committee. Margot, can you remember anything that I've forgotten? No.
You're good. You got it all, Lucille.
Okay, and then the next one is the Equity and Inclusion Education Advisory Steering Committee. Quite a mouthful.
That's my committee. It's Diane speaking. We were to meet this week, and it was postponed to our June meeting. So, and we'll have nothing to report until June.
Okay. The next agenda item is just talking about items for our next agenda. And I just want to mention that we currently do have plans for a presentation from Autism Ontario and Voice. And if there are any others items that you'd like to add, could you mention it now or add it in the chat box? Okay, well.
Sorry, my finger's not fast enough for the chat box. Lucy, it's Diane speaking. I'm not sure if we can work this in before the end of the year, but I really would like it on the list to have a presentation from those 2 new programs at kindergarten and grade 1. And they've been going for a year now, so they might have some information, some data of what's working, what's not working, and what they're seeing as the implication for grade 2, grade 3.
Okay, well, I've got Colette, and I'm hoping that she'll be able to answer that. And then next is Melissa.
Thanks, Diane. We can certainly bring a presentation around the KELP and Alpha classes. We also want to bring a presentation around the 5 itinerant teachers who are targeting supports and interventions for students with learning disabilities, K to 8, or students with reading challenges, K to 8. Beginning data in the work that they are doing is very exciting, and so we have that planned for early in the fall, and so we can certainly bring it all together if that makes most sense as a kind of a comprehensive look at supporting students with learning disabilities and early interventions, and we can also share some of the early plans that we have. Both school programs and the special education department in running some sessions, some summer institutes, for staff over the summer on phonological awareness and interventions for students in the early years. So we can certainly bring all of those pieces together as one package.
Well, thank you, Diane, and thank you, Colette. I made a mistake with Melissa, so thank you, Melissa. Is there anybody else that has something to add? If not, then I am happy to announce that we are ready to adjourn the meeting. So thank you all for being here. And if I've left anything, now's your time.